feel like this is inherent. Like, hey, if we want to have a true understanding and comprehension of something, we need to have a voice-to-voice or face-to-face interaction. Like, we need to share space and energy and understanding, which is going to only be done on the phone or face-to-face, even if it's virtual.
Welcome back to Life at 10 Tenths, where we inspire you to live at the pinnacle of your ability and purpose. Super excited to have my friend Matt Benelli with me today. Super excited to have all of you with us today. And we have a fun topic. We're going to we're going to roll down through an idea that Matt and I were discussing after a conversation we had the other day. We're like, what if we looked at it from this angle and this kind of trap that maybe some people get into? So we'll get into that. If you want to learn more about what we got going on at Life at 10 Tenths, go check out our app. You can go pick that up in your app store, Life at 10 Tenths. If you want to check out our website, go to 10tenths.co, and that's where you can find us there. And if you want to come join our group, our community, the 11 circle of amazing people that show up every week, and we do a coaching session. We bring great ideas together. We break apart all what's happening in the industry right now to help raise the bar for everybody. That is the 11 circle. Come join us. We'd love to have you. Matt, let's talk about getting stuck in the friend zone.
Help! I'm in the friend zone. Oh gosh, man, this was fun because we just did the I think it was 2 podcasts ago. We were talking about how to really get over this hurdle of like, how do we have productive phone conversations and learning about people and building relationships through that, which led to you and I talking about, like, because I just asked the question, like, hey, has our use of the mediums of communication changed in a way where how we use certain things like the phone or texting and anything could end us up in a quote unquote friend zone where we don't get to do business with people because we're stuck in this friend zone in a way, or the other way around too. Yeah. Right. And it's just like, okay, how do we break out of that? How do we communicate with people in a certain way? And how do we acknowledge if we're stuck in the friend zone too? What does that mean?
You had brought up after we started talking, like the power of the phone, but the unique place of like the technology of how the phone has developed. Because yep. I mean, in the time that we have sat here, we've been recording podcasts and hanging out. I've actively declined 5 phone calls. And it's not that I don't like the people. It's just, I'm not talking to them right now. Like, but the cool part of my phone is that I can decide whether I want to take that call, whether I want to send it to voicemail. I did it last night with somebody that she's one of the dearest, longest friends that I've had probably in my life. We grew up, my wife and I grew up on the same street. This I say girl, she's a woman now, but like I said girl, we were all kids.
She grew up.
She lived down at the other end of the street. She and I were like the same age, great friends. And then her older sister and my wife were best friends. And so we had this like, great friendship on the street. She called me last night because we needed to connect. We had life stuff going on. And what's really interesting is that both Sarah and I saw the phone call come in and we're like, we can't talk to her right now. We can't do that. At the same point, though, she's like one of the dearest people that we have in our world. And I think we get lost sometimes in like this feeling of, we were sent to voicemail, and we take it personally. My mom just chewed me out the day for how many times I send her to voicemail. I'm like, it's not because I don't love you, Mom. There's just certain times I can get into conversations. I think that we hold this energy around it, Matt, and then we also hold this energy around, well, how do we text and when do we text and how do they respond to our text? Like, we can find this place in here where you're talking about kind of being stuck in this friend zone, but it's also, you have to have an understanding of it because, like, I'm going to say Jackie, who's the one that we were kind of going back and forth with, she is one of the more special people I have in my life. And that wasn't how much I love her right now about why I took her phone call or not. It was I really want to have a powerful conversation with her is what I want. And I want to make sure I have the time and the space to do it in. And I think we have to pay attention to that with all of our people. I hope that makes sense.
It does. And I think it's one element. And I don't think that, if you're looking for a clear definition of like this or that out of this episode, you're probably not going to get it. You're going to get more an esoterical like concept of how do you understand your relationships with people.
Yeah.
And I look at it this way, Garrett, phone versus text, right? Because we hear it all the time. Oh, the millennials don't like to talk on the phone, which is now the Gen Zs don't like to talk on the phone. We're beyond talking about millennials now, I guess. So makes me feel
kids,
purposefully old. But
my kids have now started to come back around where they know they will have a better communication with somebody if they can get on the phone. Even though they use all the technology, they are starting to come back.
And everybody knows this. Like, I feel like this is inherent. Like, hey, if we want to have a true understanding and comprehension of something, we need to have a voice-to-voice or face-to-face interaction. Like, we need to share space and energy and understanding, which is going to only be done on the phone or face-to-face, even if it's virtual, right? Sending a text, waiting, getting something in response where obviously people are doing other things, like that's not going to be the best form of comprehension that exists, right? That would be like reading a book, one text message at a time. Like you're not going to get anything out of it if you do it that way, right? And so this is where on a general level, if all of your communication with somebody exclusively happens through text message, you're probably in this quote unquote friend zone. If there is no phone communication, if there's no face-to-face communication, we're not getting into that upper echelon of professional relationship where we can start to receive referrals. I'm not saying that those people won't do business with you if you're in the friend zone, so to speak, because people like doing business with friends, right? Oh, I'll give Garrett like that. The call that comes in finally is like, we're thinking about moving. It's probably a text message if you're in the friend zone. Hey, we're thinking about moving. What should we do? And then what happens is you text back and forth and you meet at the house that they want to go see instead of actually doing the consultation. That is friend zone. Whereas phone, where you feel comfortable doing it, you end up having conversations. It doesn't have to happen often, by the way, or the face-to-face happens. I think we get so stuck, Garrett, on the medium that's used to communicate versus how the communication is happening. And this staccato format of text messages that go out like one statement, another statement versus a fluid conversation. That's where I see the differences. I hope that makes sense.
No, and where you're going, I think is really important because I talk to agents all the time and they'll be like, well, my relationship with them is they don't want to talk on the phone. They only want text. That is a barrier. I'm just going to tell you right now, that is them protecting themselves of saying, look, I'm going to set up a wall here and this is my defense mechanism. And I only want to talk to you through text. That's all I want. I don't need to have a conversation with you. Don't want to have a conversation with you necessarily.
Which I will say, there are some people who may be in your world that are like that. And we have to acknowledge that and then accept that, okay, I'm going to be friend zoned with this person. It's because it's like dating, right? Like at some point you have to accept Janet's not going out with me, but I'm in the friend zone.
But here I think is the fine line is like, I have people in my world that I can't talk to on the phone. I can text them, but the difference is, Matt, is that I could probably schedule dinner with them, with Sarah and them every single week if I wanted to.
And that is where we get so focused too much on the medium versus the actual conversation, because face-to-face over dinner, you're getting that fluid conversation going. You're getting that involvement that you need, right? But if we don't have the phone or the face-to-face, then we truly are probably missing something.
And that's where I think the nuances of this is the opportunity to look at your schedule and look at your database and go through the people on it and go like, who are the ones that I can pick up the phone and have a conversation with? Who are the ones that maybe I could send a text to and then get face-to-face with? Those are probably my more powerful people in my database and in my world. We have this other group over here where you're like, well, my relationship with them has always been text. That's what they expect. That's the only thing I can do with them. They don't want to get together for lunch. They don't want to get together for breakfast or a cup of coffee. They also don't want to talk on the phone with me. All I have is text. This is where Matt is kind of mentioning this, like, I might be stuck in the friend zone with them. We're not really in a committed relationship. We're not really committed to each other and moving forward with each other. I'm probably not necessarily the person that they're going, that's my realtor, in a lot of ways, because, or at least in a referral relationship with them where they'll say, hey, I got to connect you with them. There's a level of communication, a level of trust that can only happen through hearing a person's tone, hearing their energy, the relationship builds on a completely different level. And just like my friend that I can't necessarily talk to her on the phone, but we will sit at a dinner for way too long with the four of us, where she will just talk and 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 unload her life. And us, because we love her, we take it all, and we have this amazing bond. And I think that like you need to build those relationships, and we have to look at who are those people that we can have those relationships. But I'm never ever going to go, damn it, I got to figure out how to get her on the phone, because if I'm going to build a relationship that's going to be a business relationship, I have to be able to make these phone calls to her. This is where it's important for you to understand, where am I taking those relationships to the next level? Who can I do it with? And some of these guys you're stuck in the friend zone with, sometimes you're just going to be friends with them. All you're going to be able to do is text. Hopefully we're going to find a little nuance where maybe we can take it to the next level sometime, but it may never happen. And that's totally okay. Know who your people are.
Well, and this, you just said the nuance, and I think this is the core of how you deploy this and structure this in your business, which is you always want to try to have that door open, right? Like if you, like comparing it to dating, like if you're really attracted to that other person and you're like, man, I'm stuck in the friend zone, you're not going to, most times, unless they're married or dating somebody else, hands off guys and gals.
We're not talking about dating, by the way.
You're probably going to say, gosh, what could I do to maybe break free of this friend zone? Yeah. And you're going to continue to make attempts, hoping that the other person is going to receive that. Well, same thing in your business, right? We do want to acknowledge, okay, who am I in the friend zone with? But you also then don't just sit down and go, well, that's it. Right? You still make the calls that are particularly structured around your business, right? You're going to call for that annual market impact report that you're going to provide to them. You're still going to call when you see something really interesting that you want to learn more about, and you're going to drop them the voicemail. If they don't respond, this is where we cannot take it personally. We just know, hey, I'm in the friend zone. And if that's where they want me to stay, great. I'm still going to provide them the opportunity to walk through this open door that I'm going to create for them to kind of step into something more if they want to. Yep. And if you make that part of your routine, now all of a sudden you're giving yourself the best opportunity to not get stuck in the friend zone with as many people as possible.
Well, and
that makes sense?
What's fun is when you're in that, let's say this friend zone of texting zone or whatever it is. And I said, listen to the nuances, because all it takes is one little commonality or like interest that all of a sudden someone might say a little hook. And all you got to do is go, wait, what are you doing this weekend? Like, where are you going? Because, my daughter goes to Texas A&M. Like, why are you going to College Station? And all of a sudden they're going, well, my kid goes to Texas A&M also. Well, what year is he? Now all of a sudden there's this little nuance that sometimes that's the little moments that you're like, I would love to hear about how their experience has been with Texas A&M. And my daughter's maybe a freshman, your kid's maybe a junior. I would love to hear about how this experience has been. Would you be up for a cup of coffee? Can I just call you real quick? I have some questions I want to ask you. All of a sudden, this relationship that's been stuck in this texting friend zone that we haven't been able to break out of, all of a sudden we have this moment that's allowed it to graduate just a little bit. Now, all of a sudden in the future, if I was to make a phone call, if I was to want to open up that door, it's actually easier because we've crossed over that threshold. We've been able to have a meaningful conversation about something that's important to you, about something that's important to me, that we have, this overlap of. I find most relationships happen when you find overlaps. I have built so many incredible connections with people. And a lot of it is, and it's not business. I think a lot of people get bent in this because they're like, oh, the manipulation side, or you're trying to build your business or trying to find another sale. I actually love building relationships is what I love. And I have done it more often than not by just constantly asking questions and trying to find overlaps. Because when you find that little overlap, all of a sudden, for some reason, you just feel like a safer person to me and vice versa. They're like, oh, like, you use those tires too? Like all of a sudden, I don't know why I feel more like connected with you, but we use the same tires on our cars. It could be the stupidest thing, but all of a sudden, how have those tires been for you? Have you liked them? Like, have they been good, or have you been frustrated with them? This is all track stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
But that's a talking point that all of a sudden we are sharing a like, commonality, interest, and it just allows that relationship to grow. So Matt, you said it a second ago. Don't just go, oh, this person's in the friend zone, so waste of my time. It's a person, and just find your ways and look for those overlaps. Because man, when you find an overlap, it's like that's how we're going to take that and let it mature up a little bit as a relationship. And there always should be maturing. And then some of them are stuck in the friend zone, which is where this whole thing started. And sometimes that's just what it's going to be.
Well, and to flip this around, Garrett, we also have to acknowledge our own performance in these relationships too. Are we opting to text people versus respond to their calls, right? When there's an opportunity for you to grow and add more relationships, are you blocking them by putting them in the friend zone?
Yep.
And not having the opportunity to grow that into a deeper relationship? Because I know that we all do that, right? And of course, you want to align your relationships with your core values and things like this. We don't have all the time in the world. We've talked about Dunbar's number and all of these things. However, I do think sometimes we're the ones maybe putting our own clients in the friend zone and we don't even realize it. And then we blame them as if they did something to us by putting us there, when it's like, well, when's the last time you have picked up the phone? The last time they called or emailed, did you just respond via text, or did you actually engage and try to have a detailed conversation with people? And I think if we look inwardly, we'll find, you know what? I did default for the easy answer. And Garrett, you taught me this too, cause you're great with the phone. Like you spend a lot of time on the phone. You're fantastic at calling people and responding to people. And I have tended in the past to always lean to other things of like, well, I just need to get the volume going, so I'm going to hit the emails and the texts and all that stuff. And there is value there, don't get me wrong. But if that's the only thing you do, you're going to create a lot of friend zones. And then we wonder why the business isn't there. The referral business isn't there in particular, because that's what really creates those referral opportunities. We can get, and this is where we get stuck in some of these marketing structures and things of traditional consumer product-based businesses, where it's like, well, but I could just run ads, I could do these things, and then customers will come. It's like, yes, you could, right? But in real estate, the timeline is different. And if you want to build sustainability, those referrals are vital for your sustainability, and they can happen if we have people that are outside or beyond the friend zone, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's interesting, and how often sometimes we just own this whole thing of like, those people like text, so that's how I communicate with them. And I have blown up that theory, by the way. Just so you know, in my world, I'll just tell you, I don't give a shit. You text me, there's a very good chance I'm going to call you back. And I will even say it. I know this is not what you're supposed to do, but I talk faster than I type, and I just want to like have a quick conversation with you and then move along. And I never have anybody that's like, ugh, and maybe you are and you're just not doing it to my face. But we have a great phone call. I've never jumped off the phone and been like, oh, I probably should have just texted them back because I could tell I bothered them or things like that. They don't have to pick up the phone, and they do pick up the phone. It's an incredible thing. They texted me, I called them, they actually answered. That was a choice on their end. They could have just let it go to voicemail. And sometimes if they don't answer, I will then go back and I'll actually text them the response. More often than not, though, they pick up, we have a nice conversation, and I lean into that. I've always leaned into that. And Matt, you talked about, we get emails to us all the time that we're both on the email. And I have to remember, because instead of me emailing back, I just pick up the phone and call. And then Matt's like, did anybody respond to that email? And I'm like, oh yeah, I called them. And I'm like, oh, that's right. There's no record of it with the email now. That it just looks like an unanswered email.
It's sometimes good to like make the call, then follow up with the email. Hey, great chatting with you. It's always helpful.
I'm doing my best.
And hey, there's nothing wrong with getting a double tap there too, right? And I will say, like, we're not saying that any one communication method is better than the other, but I think that you get some of the context with this. And Garrett, I'll just kind of pull this one element into it too, because you brought up, situations and where people are in your database and things like that. And people will move around in your database. We get so structured of like, here's my database and these people are A's, these people are B's, these people are C's, but there is fluidity to that too. Like some people are going to move up into the A's, some people are going to move back into the other thing, depending on the stage of life, maybe the things that you're involved in, like situational stuff. Like, hey, I go to this gym, I see these people. Now I'm going to this gym and I see these people. And it is okay to have that movement, but you should acknowledge it so that you can also help identify who are your absolutely raving fans and who are the people that you are in the friend zone with, keeping your system still the same across the board, but at least then you know, because you know who you can double down on as well. Because if you know the people who you are, you have true, high quality friendships and professional relationships with, those are the people that you know that you can double down on to probably receive more referrals from by paying closer to attention to them instead of trying to spread your attention out all the way across the board. And that's something that I think is super helpful. Sometimes we think we need to just do all the same things with all the same people, Garrett. But hey, if you know that people are in the friend zone, know that like, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to open those doors, but here's the people that I'm really, really going to be paying attention to.
And I love that you said the fluidity of the database, because like I just went through it this last 3 years. My two kids graduated from high school, went off to college. We were in this massive, massive space of people that are in this town that we could go anywhere and we would bump into somebody. Any restaurant we went to, we'd bump into somebody. And it was just because we were just super connected through the school for 15 years. And then all of a sudden you have this threshold you cross. All these kids go off to college. And there are lots of people that if I don't actively force myself to reach out and connect with them, those relationships are getting farther and farther and farther away. And it just continues to kind of happen. And you got to be careful. And then we just had an event here recently where my father-in-law just passed. And it's really interesting. There's groups of friends that I have met through him over the years that all of a sudden, because I have been the connector to reach out to them and be like, hey, this is what just happened, and here's where we're all at. These relationships are starting to fire up in a way that they have not been alive for probably 10 years. And I'm building bonds with these people now. And you have to respect how fluid life can be, fluid these relationships can be. There's going to be certain times and certain places. Because I got one of my friends I was probably most connected with here throughout the last 5 years of my kids being in this area. He's in a position now where his oldest kid had a grandbaby. Well, they now are grandparents. I think they're now double grandparents. And every time I call him, he's like, we're going down to Los Angeles. We're going to go see the grandbaby. And I'm like, let's get together soon. We should. I have not seen this guy in forever. We're still good friends. We still try to communicate as much as possible, but I'm not going to write him off. He's just in a different stage of his life. I'm not there yet. And these things kind of will come and go. And this is why it's so important, Matt, what you said, like understand that about your database, because just because somebody like maybe drifts away doesn't mean the relationship's dead, but it is your responsibility if you want to keep that relationship going. Otherwise, those will die. They will go away. I promise you, you get enough distance in between you guys, and then all of a sudden you are an old friend. I used to have a friend that we used to hang out with. That will happen if you're not the active participant in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe that's okay, depending on how your database is. This is where taking the episode we just released before this one, which depending on the order of things is probably our one about, the first year and your vision and everything. If you combine all these concepts together, you figure out, oh, okay, here's what I got to do. And here's what I got to focus on to move ahead.
But you said maybe it's okay. And I think at least take responsibility. 100% it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at least own the responsibility of it. Because more often than not, I've had people call me over the years and they're like, Garrett, you are the one that's held our friends together. You are the one that's kept this weird communication going. And they're like, I'm always amazed where I haven't reached out to you and you all of a sudden pick up the phone and call me. And it's so great that you kind of keep this energy going. And I would just take the ownership of it.
If I had a dime for every time an agent was like, man, but they never call me. And I'm like, yeah. And Like
most of my
your
friends,
job is to be a connector. Like that's what you do.
most of my
You're a
friends I
connector.
have had, some of them I have had since I was, third grade, was one of my best friends ever. Very rarely do I get a phone call from him. He every once in a while I'll get one, but most of it's my outgoing phone calls. I have about 4 or 5 guys that I met through high school that we were best friends through high school and we've stayed in touch. Very rarely does my phone ring from them. Usually it's me picking up the phone, and all of them will say, like, dude, like, you have always done a great job of making sure that we are all staying connected and doing that. And again, there's a responsibility piece. If you take it and you take ownership of it, people do like it. Just say that. I know that.
I think that's the biggest takeaway from this whole thing, Garrett, is to take that ownership, that responsibility for the relationships in your world. Don't put that on other people.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
So it only took 28 minutes to get there.
Yeah. Well, and we did it, which is amazing.
We did it. Mission accomplished.
You're welcome, everyone.
What were we trying to teach out of this episode?
What's that?
What were we trying to teach? Where were we going? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Big takeaway right at the end, which is why it's important, if you've made it this long, to encourage others that who listen, to listen all the way to the end, right? And if you guys do get value out of these podcasts, like, please do share it out. Garrett and I are on a mission to really impact a lot of people through just this content. And the more people that we have that listen, who give us feedback, the better we can also provide even better tuned content for all of you who are listening. So if you found value out of this, please share it with somebody. Head over to YouTube, subscribe to us there as well if you want to see us on camera, which is a lot of fun. And we are going to start producing some more content that is going to be exclusively on YouTube as well, including when we do our live podcasts. We broadcast those live on YouTube. We do publish those recordings through the audio platform, but if you want to see us live, it's on YouTube. And if you're subscribed, you'll get notified when we do those things. We'll also probably give you the heads up if we can. If you're on our email list, which all you got to do that is download our app, Life at 1010. Go into your app store, download our app, and you sign up for an account there, which is totally free. You'll get on our email list so that you'll be notified of all the amazing things that we're working on. And if there's anything we can do for you, reach out to us. If you're interested in our group coaching or personal one-on-one coaching, like, we're here to support you. Just go to 10tenths.co. You can learn all about that stuff. What am I missing? I think that's going to do it for today. Yeah. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, with no product placement or anything like that today, we're just going to say thank you.
Yeah, no. We don't have any sponsors for today's episode, brought to you by, brought to you by 10 tenths. We got it. Love you guys. Be well.
We are sponsoring this episode, brought to you by us. We want to say thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys.